Hello and welcome. So now it's time to talk about three major artifacts that actually come up with the agents in Foundry Agent Service. The first one is tools, then we have memory, and then we have guardrails. And don't worry, we will take them one by one. So we will have theory lessons and we will have some practicals or demos to understand these concepts. So the first and foremost is tools, right? So what exactly are tools? So now the tools are actually optional capabilities that extend an AI agent's functionality far beyond basic text generation. Now, the thing here is that if you actually take a look at agents, or when you create a basic agent as you would have created, it is just associated with an LLM. And what is the LLM doing? The LLM is just kind of generating some text for you. So it doesn't have the contextual understanding of your environment, of your enterprise data. It can't talk to databases. It can't actually do some actions, right? So this is where tools come into picture. So always remember, tools are actually giving more power to your agent. If you just, again, imagine a carpenter, like you are a carpenter. If you don't have proper tools with you, you can't do your job properly. Same way, if you don't give the proper tools to an agent can't perform. And we'll see what are these tools. So what they're saying is they serve the agents as hands and the feet, right? It is helping the agent to move, right? It is helping the agent to progress further, which helps to interact with the outside world, not just describe it, right? And we will see that what kind of different tools are there. Don't worry about it. But for the moment, just try to understand that tools is something which is giving additional capabilities, giving more powers to your agent. So it is a capability that an agent can invoke during a conversation. So based on your conversation, let's say you are saying, fetch me this information, right? Or get me the data, right? So based on the user prompt that you are giving, it is deciding, the agent is deciding which tool can I call, because an agent can talk to multiple tools, right? There will be a description of what each tool does. So it is that capability of the agent to invoke the tool during a conversation to perform a specific task. Now here we'll talk about what kind of things a tool can do. One is interaction, right? You can connect with external services and APIs. Let's say you are interested in Open Weather Map API, right? So you can call Open Weather Map API from your agent, right? It is one way. Second way is access. You can talk to a SQL Server database. You can talk to an Oracle database. You can get or retrieve real-time data from your live sources that way, right? So this is accessing the information. And then we have execution. This is the action part that we say. So the tools are not only knowledge tools, which is giving additional context to the agent or additional information, but they are action tools as well, which are doing some work. And we'll take a quick look at these. So what are these categories? So basically two categories, and again we would have discussed, and if you've seen my previous lectures in this course, we already talked about the knowledge tools and action tools. So knowledge tools are nothing but you're enhancing the agent context, right? You're giving some additional information to the agent so that it can actually come up with better responses, right? It could be coming from Bing search, right? It could come from Azure AI search, Microsoft Fabric, it's a new one. And also you can use third-party licensed sources like Trustpilot is another one which has actually gone with it, and we did have some demos on that previously. And obviously the execution part comes from the action tools. Now action tools are like you can use browser automation, you can use Azure functions, MCP tools, which is Model Context Protocol, Open API. So any say if you have the Open API spec related tools, you can actually use those as well. So for the moment, you just try and understand that these are two types of tools that are used. Now we will take a look again in a demo. You might ask about what are these. So there are two categories. One is the built-in tools that are already there from Microsoft. The second are the custom tools. Let's quickly take a look at those as well. So with built-in tools, we have web search. Very straightforward, that you give a user prompt, and if you attach a tool called, let's say, Bing search, right, you will have a Bing search with it. So your prompt can, based on your prompt, it can decide whether that LLM has that information. Otherwise, it will actually perform a Bing search and get the information for you. Second is code interpreter, very important, and we will actually take a look. We will have a demo on this. I'll actually input some sales data and I'll ask it to create some nice graphs out of it. So what a code interpreter does, it's a tool from actually OpenAI, which helps you to write and run the Python code in a sandbox environment. So it kind of runs the entire code in a sandbox environment, executes it, and it's really good for data analysis and chart generation. Then we have file search. File search is pretty good in that sense that you can actually just I would say it's a concept of RAG. You can actually use file search. You can, if you just upload the file and you can actually search against that file. You can do some semantic search, hybrid search against that. And yes, we have function calling, which has always been there. Again, taking an example of Open Weather Map API. If you have Open Weather Map API and you want your agent to call that say API, so you can define custom functions and agent can invoke it, right? And then we talk about some integrated custom tools. Again, it is the Open API tool, which lets the agent call any REST API using the Open API specification, like calling ServiceNow API to create a support ticket. Let's say you can call a ServiceNow API and you can create a support ticket, right? Then we have some Azure functions. So the Azure function tool lets the agent call an Azure function to run some backend logic, like calculate insurance quote, process loan application, run business logic. So you can say it can run the business logic, right? So that can be done with an Azure function, right? And very, very important, MCP tool, right? Which is a model context protocol. I do have a complete, I would say, course on MCP. If you guys are interested, you can look for this course in Udemy. So this MCP tool lets the agent connect to external tools, databases, systems via MCP servers. So you can actually connect to, as I said, external tools. You can connect to SQL, you can connect to Oracle database using this, which actually helps you, like you can query Oracle databases, access SharePoint, run SQL queries, right? I think with this, you've got a very good understanding of tools in Foundry Agent Service. Now in the next upcoming lectures, we'll see some demos on this. Thanks for watching.